What up? Alright. Well, what the hell are we going to draw today? Let's find out. Alright. Let's start with a quick little face study, like always. And then we can transition probably to maybe like Pokemon? Drawing Pokemon would be great. Let's start with some faces. Okay. Who do we want to draw? Let's just draw random people. What's up? Okay, so I did this last time, but basically we're going to map out all of the Loomis method and see if we can't learn something important from it, right? A lot of times I'm drawing a face and all my proportions are wrong, and then the face looks awful, and then I want to give up drawing forever. I feel like there's a pretty good chance that that is a universal experience. So what we're going to do is we are just going to keep trying until something starts to work. And what I'm thinking is, if we can get some sort of cracked system where basically every time I load in to draw a face, I can just rip one immediately, then I can start actually drawing characters and doing fun stuff instead of this sort of classic hating myself for not being able to draw certain things. So I'm going to put in some pen for this just so it's easier to see for everybody. But essentially, what the Loomis method is you start with this beach ball, and then this beach ball supposedly is supposed to give us all of the framework that we need to finish and draw a face. Excuse me. So, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to lay out a bunch of the sort of rules you follow. And what's interesting about the Loomis method is that it sets up the side of the head, whereas a lot of times, a lot of drawing systems or a lot of drawing methods don't really do that because they just expect you to have this sort of crazy understanding already. So, by sort of forcing our hand into doing all of these little techniques, we learn slowly and we think about all of the sides of the head, which is also like one of the biggest things that really ruins your drawings. What's up, everybody? Is that when you are like drawing the side or drawing a face or drawing a head, is you always forget that basically what the head is. Here, I'll finish this one quick. What the head is basically just a block. So, let me explain that a little bit. But first, I'm going to draw in a bunch of these little indicators for where certain things go. Okay, so basically, what a lot of people forget is that the head is essentially just one big block, right? And it sits on top of your neck. So you can just like pretend to draw a neck there, and then your shoulders and whatever, and then your chest and so on and so forth. But what people always forget is that there are sides to the face. So this front plane, or like let's call this one A. A has like all of your eyes and your nose and your mouth, but then you still have B and C on these sides, right? And what B and C have are like the ears part of the eyebrow, like if the eyebrow's here, it's going to curve around that side of the head. And then it also has like hairline into sideburns into whatever. And the same thing goes for when you're drawing like a 3D, like a real head. Because when I am drawing and when I'm figuring out where I want all of my details to be, I have to remember that there is like this front plane of the face, and this is where all of my details have to lie and have to sit, and then there's spill off, and then there's shading, and then there's like plane shifts. You know what I mean? Um, I hope that makes sense. But basically what this Loomis method does is it forces us, when we're thinking about this beach ball, that the side of the head is here, and that everything is going to flow from front of face to side of head. Hey, how's it going? Hey everybody. We are doing the Loomis method, or at least attempting. I'm not super well versed in the Loomis, but I want to be, because it seems like a sweet little hack. So, if we have all of our steps, and remembering that the face is just a bunch of different planes together, we can start by drawing a character. So we'll do first attempt right here. So we'll start with that sort of big circle, right? We're going to add in the side of the head, which is that little side pocket. We're going to draw just a big cross through that. Then from this cross, we are going to draw a slightly curved line across the entire beach ball. Then we're going to do a center line down the middle of the beach ball. Remember to keep it curved because we are drawing 3D here. Then we can just sort of connect these lines from the side of the volleyball down, just to show that there is depth past, that side of the head. And now, all of this stuff, remember, whenever you're drawing, whenever you're doing structured drawing like this, where you're doing all of the little shapes beforehand, all the setup and everything, remember that everything is going to be erased eventually, or like everything can be if you need it to. So don't get too attached to all these lines. Like remember that this is just a sketch, and then we can make it perfect later. So from here, I'm going to take this middle point, and I'm going to draw a line that's basically just kind of hovering above that, straight down. And what this is going to do is not only do we know where the skull lies, and sort of the main point of the head, but now we know that the face is going to stick out and away just a little bit from everything. Because if you know anything about anatomy, the skull is the bottom layer, and then you have a little bit of muscle and a little bit of flesh, and there's some depth there. There are levels to this shit, everybody. Thanks for liking the live. But basically, like even when you're drawing cartooning, or even when you're doing anything that you think is simple, you still kind of have to imagine and remember that there's depth to everything. There are pieces to the puzzle that we're not thinking about that can help consistently throughout the drawing, right? Oh, thanks for all the likes. That's awesome. I'm gonna grab a drink of water. How you guys doing? What's new? Wow, that's great to hear it, everybody. Okay, so moving on. Now from here, we have a ton of these little tiny footholds. Playing Genshin while I listen to this, lol. Oh, sick. What's your best hero or character, whatever they call it? I haven't played Genshin in ever. We have all these little footholds. So we have this middle line, and basically what this middle line is actually the brow. So this isn't the eye line. This is just where the eyebrows are going to sit. So I might even just throw out some text there for people coming in. So there's the brow line. So if that's the eyebrow line, then we know that the eyes are going to sit just a little bit below. So we can throw in another line to give us an indication. Again, this isn't exactly where everything's going to be. Oh, both still need work though? Sick. So you're just like, you are fully in the grind. You're not you're not reaping what you sow yet. You're just like perfecting these characters. So we have basically a rough cut of the eye, or where the eyes are going to be because of this brow line. And if we know where the eyes are going to be, we have a rough idea of where the nose is going to be. So, same thing from this circle on the beach ball part. We are going to cut across at the bottom of that circle. Again, keeping all of our lines pretty 3D and pretty curved because, this is going to move and this is going to shake out and this is going to be perfect. And that's going to be about where the bottom of our nose is. Obviously, things will change with, who you're drawing, what kind of style you're drawing in, all of those things. But essentially, the setup and the structure that you can start is the same usually. So I'm even going to take a secondary line and I'm going to curve it the other way because, as we all know, the human face starts and it kind of curves around itself. It's one big orb that's like elongated, right? As much as I can, being a Genshin player today is tough. I know, dude. Especially like the hype of it what was it, like 2 years ago maybe? Was like peak player count or whatever. Dude, some of my friends that were really into it were playing for 20 hours a day, like ripping, and I feel the whole community was that dedicated and that addicted to that game. So I'm going to cut across a different line. Oh, what's up, Magnus? I was waiting for you. I thought you were gonna cut me off before I even got in. You so glad you got the notification? I'm glad. We're doing Loomis method again, Magnus, but I'm thinking we might have to do some Minecraft too. Anyways, what's up, everybody? So we have like rough cut nose of this bottom line and this top line. We have the eyes, we have the eyebrow. This is all going to be forehead. We're going to extend some of that fleshiness to get like a hairline and all of that stuff. We have the side of the head. From the nose, and from this bottom circle that we've drawn every single time, we basically have a rough cut of where the mouth is going to be too. And as you can see, so let's just put that at the bottom of the circle for now. As you can see, like all I've done is draw a beach ball. I've drawn some lines on it. I've added basically a rough cut of where I think the ear is going to be, a rough cut of where the jaw is going to be, a midline, and then just a bunch of other little ladder points and stepping stones that I can then put in detail. That's all we've done so far, and we're already like, we're pretty sure this head is going to turn out. You're watching another YouTuber? Well, I'm glad I pulled you away from like someone that actually knows what they're doing. So now that we have all of this, I'm even going to go so far as to set, remember when we were talking about the blockhead, this like stupid idiot over here? Fontaine released for peak times, but Nathan nerfed the whole, or Natlin nerfed the whole game. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Dude, the lore in that game and all of the stuff that happens goes so deep. Like, I'm already lost and we're, what, 4 messages in? If you remember what I was talking about with this blockhead, aka Big Dumb Idiot, all of the facial features are on this front plane of the face, right? But we can't forget that there are other planes of the head, like the side of the head on both sides, where you're going to find the ear, part of the eyebrow, and like all of the sideburns and everything like that, right? So, on this drawing that I'm doing right here, you like that one, Magnus? We are going to draw another set of vertical lines down, and because this head is turned away a little bit, we can all of a sudden see that the face, like all of the details in the face, are going to occupy basically this square of this head right here. And that can be like, you can, the lore is so good, the game has so much potential. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, of course it's a cash grab. But like, it's fun. So, like, where does the line, where's the boundary? If it's, I feel like every game with, like in-app purchases or whatever, or microtransactions, that's all a cash grab. Like, at least they're honest about it. With these 2 lines, we can all of a sudden see that all of our face details are going to be on this plane, and then this is all just going to be side of head and ear, right? These look so perfect. Whoa, thank you very much. I think they look like absolute hot dog water, but this one is going to look very cool. And because of that, because we have this plane set up now, we know that the eyebrows are going to curve just a little bit off. We know that there's going to be a ton of space here in between the eyebrows. We know that the eye is basically going to touch this side of the head. So we're slowly getting more and more details all throughout this, and all we've been doing is drawing little lines everywhere. So, to make things even better, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start laying out even bigger shapes. So for this brow bone, I'm going to lay in just a little rectangle here, because we know that the brow bone sticks out just a little bit past all of the other head. Do you have to start with step one? Not totally. I would say if it's your first attempt ever, yeah, because it's just kind of like a flow. So if I was to start this drawing over again, I would start with that circle of the head, and then I would throw in this side of the head, and then I would throw in that cross, and then I would start throwing in these little lines, right? And then all of a sudden, it's just a flow thing. It just like makes sense to start with step one. But you could start, like, you could honestly just draw this outline of the shape and then inlay everything. But for me, it's usually easier to actually start and move through. But the eyebrow bone always sticks out a little bit from the head or a little bit from the face, right? And we can tell that because if you look at yourself in the mirror, there's like the eye cavity sinks in, or it moves into the head, right? So that means that there's going to be a shelf here, and it's going to go across the entire plane of that face that I was talking about earlier. And now we know that this part of the head kind of cascades out and duckbills out, and then this part of the head curves back in. Right? You see that? So then that also means that our light source is going to hit this brow bone, but it's not going to hit this like visor underneath the eyebrow that's right above your eye. Hello, I'm new. Nice to meet you. If you're offering tutorials, may I ask for a profile tutorial? Thanks. A profile tutorial? Oh, like drawing profile? Like, let me see. Like this kind of tutorial? Yeah, I can do that for you. Michael King, yeah, I can draw a tutorial for profiles. Yeah. Unless you're talking about drawing a profile picture, like for your apps, then it can be anything you want, little baby. It could be whatever. Okay, so we know that this visor pops out and then it comes back in. But if you remember, or if you're looking at your face ever, you know that the cheekbone also pops out. So now we have yet another sort of big broad shape. So we can lay in yet another rectangle, and we're going to offset that and keep it just a little bit further out from this visor. And now this arrow flow is back out, and that's basically just going to continue down to the edge of the head. Yes, yes, thank you, King. Of course. No problem, sire. Magnus, how you doing? And so now we have like an eyebrow, a little visor, a start of a cheek section. But guess what? One of the most important parts of any face, I would argue, is the schnoz, dude. So, remember that midline that we did? Awesome, super cool, very hot. We are going to take this brow bone and we are going to connect it with just a straight rectangle. And you might be thinking, Nathan, what the hell? What the absolute hell are you talking about? Well, basically, the nose is just one big, like, Snickers bar. And then it has a connection point down to the lip, and then it has a little outcropping for each nostril, right? So we can just keep everything as boxy as possible, and all of a sudden we have a pretty solid rough cut of a nose. You ever hear those audios? Which audios? Also, I'm doing good, thanks for asking. Of course. So now we have, and then of course, because the head is turned a little bit, we're going to be able to see this side of the nose, but not so much this side of the nose. And of course, this is starting to get a little bit muddy, but stick with me because we're going to be able to clean it up and pick the lines that we want and then erase all of the grossness. I love the two different personalities. I'm dying laughing. Thank you very much. That's too kind. Pocket McGregor. What the hell? Okay, so now that we have, eyebrow, the little visor under the eye, the cheeks, we then know that the eyes are probably going to sit about right here. And because the face is turned a little bit, we're going to see hardly any skin on this side and a ton of skin on this side, right? Because as you move the face, those sides of the head that I was talking about with this big dumb idiot block guy, these sides, as the face turns, become super skinny or super wide. You said yes, King, but the comment got censored. It's so crazy what YouTube censors and what it doesn't. Like half of the stuff Crow says should get censored and he should get blocked, but it never works. So then this eye is basically going to touch this side of the head, right? We're all following? We're all understanding this? God, I hope so. Okay, so now, with that nose, we can understand that the head, if you look at yourself in the mirror, this is like, also, pro tip, if you are trying to draw things, just use a mirror or like a picture of yourself, and like that is your reference, because it's so super easy. If it makes things crazier for anyone watching on TikTok, guess what? I draw looking at my face the whole time. So when I'm telling you whatever stupid shit I can think of, I just have to look up, check and make sure, oh wait, actually, the width from the eye to the side of the head is about the same size as the eye. And then I can go back to the drawing, and guess what? It usually works. I think the two words are auto-censored. Also, Magnus here, I'll give you the same shot I gave TikTok. I have a mirror right here in front of me, and that's how I draw people's faces. I'm just using my head all the time. So, if you're ever drawing faces, take a picture of yourself, have it on your phone in front of you, and just work through it. Work through all the dimensions. So, because of that, I know there's going to be very little head on this side of the eye, and I also know that the forehead is going to be quite a bit bigger. And now that I have the nose drawn and ready to go, I know from looking in the mirror that the nose is basically a third of your entire face. So, if it's a third, I can take this same length, and that's about how big my chin should be. So I'll put a little line marker there. And then I can take that same dimension, and that's about how big my forehead should be. And then of course there's going to be a little bit of hair on top, but we're just focusing on the head today. So, I'm so glad that I did that, because look at this. This chin was way too big. I was drawing a crimson chin on this guy, and you don't want that. So, just a quick erase. We'll clean up this little line. We'll throw in a jawline. And then all of a sudden this face went from being butt ugly to being pretty beast. Oh my god, is that why you drew yourself in the fisheye perspective drawing? Yes, actually. That is crazy good callback, Magnus. You draw anime drawings? That's sick. Whoa, the wind. You should change your name to Past Gas. I'm kidding, you're not a toot, don't worry about it. Okay, so now that we know that this is a third and it's equal to the forehead shape and this chin shape, now we can better place the mouth. Remember at the very beginning I said that it was probably going to be about at the bottom of this circle. Well, now that I've rechanged the chin, guess what? We're going to rechange the mouth to just about middle from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. And this is, again, just a very rough cut of where I think this mouth is going to be. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of shading. Full circle realization. Dude, I know. Also, Magnus, I'm so sorry. I wish I could figure out how to get pencil lines to look really nice in this little webcam that I use. But that's the drawing so far. if you're digging it. I'm pretty sure you've seen me do this like 14 times at this point. Okay. Whoa! Oh, thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. Oh, thank you for the roses. I just got gifted 5 roses, Magnus. Holy shit. Triple Deluxe is sending me fucking fat stacks. You know that's $800 that you just gave me? Oh, imagine. I miss those, I miss the NPCs. Oh, thank you for the roses. Smell so good. Thank you for the roses. It was such good content. Like, honestly, everybody hated them, and that's fine. You get no more dad joke privileges. Fuck. I lost him that quick. Damn it. Okay, back to drawing if I lost my joke privileges. Basically, we have all of the structure here. We can even go in and start adding some detail to the ear, and we can start adding a little bit of head shape around here just to give us an idea. But if you look closely, I know the eyebrows are going to be right here on this plane. I know that the eyes are going to be in this sort of crook of where the eyebrow and cheek meet, right? So, now that you say that, where did all they disappear to? They used to be everywhere. Oh, the NPC people? Dude, I know. They must have stopped getting views. I bet like everybody got sick and tired of it. But now we're kind of in a recession. Oh. What the hell? Oh god, I'm getting a FaceTime. Can you guys still hear me? I don't think you can. Well, shit, I've got to pause and restart. I'm getting a phone call. Be right back. One sec, Magnus. Alright, I'm back. I had a phone call. Um, Full circle realization. Not being able to see the very light pencil strokes doesn't bother me because it doesn't stay like that for long. Okay, sick. Dude, the first drawing NPC TikTok streamer. That might actually be fucking beast. The only thing that sucks about that is I need people to give me gifs or like give me emotes or whatever on TikTok. And currently, they do not like giving me that stuff. They like nothing at all. Okay. Well, that stinks, because now I just lost all the TikTok viewers. Magnus. It's over. And now I have to re-explain a ton of stuff. So you're in for a world of hurt, Magnus. Okay, so now, now that we know that the eyebrow plane sits about there, and we know that the eye, or like the visor, the overhang is about there, we can basically start adding in value to everything. So I know that if we zoom this out over here, actually, this will make a lot more sense. So when you're drawing the eye and the eyebrow, you have a plane like this, right? And then it cuts in to under. You see how that's like top side and bottom side of a 3D object? And then it goes back into what is like the cheek, right? So this is the eyebrow. The eyebrow, like the hair of the eyebrow sits right here. And on that brow bone, the sun is going to hit this a lot more often than this side. So that's why if you're ever looking at yourself in the mirror, just above your eyeball is a ton of shadow, but then your eyebrow is always lit like immaculately. And it's because the sun just like hits and it stays there, right? So, the 5 roses was a sign of greatness. How dare you leave for 2 minutes? I know. We should. I think there should be some sort of like crow signal we can throw up in the sky to get him in here. But essentially, whenever you're drawing eyebrows, cheekbones, the nose, like everything, are you drawing Epstein? Of course, I'm drawing every pedophile. I have the Epstein list. I got it. Here, watch this. I have the Epstein list. Okay, that's perfect. Now everyone knows. Basically, now that we know that's how the sun works, we can kind of go through and understand that the bottom of the nose is going to be all in shadow. Some of the cheekbones are going to be in shadow. Under the lips are going to be in shadow. And that's going to help us because it makes all of our drawings look way more realistic, right? So we can sort of start going in and drawing the finer details. So like for this nose, we have all the outlines. Oh! Magnus, you didn't know that I had the Epstein list? We can go in and we're going to draw a little bit of a dark line for this bridge of the nose. We're going to add a little bit of flare there. And then basically we just have to cap it off and draw the nostrils. And what that does in every single drawing, especially when you're illustrating, is it like tricks the mind into understanding that this is the nose. Like all we've actually drawn is the nostrils and like a little polyp, right? So then you can even go and draw these little underspots of that same nose, and then the rest of this nose is all going to be shading. So on this side we can do a very similar thing. We'll just cut in just to prove that there is like a bridge of a nose that's starting and moving through, right? So we have all of the structure we need. We've just started laying in nose details, and with that nose we need a pair of eyes, little baby. So if we know that the eyebrow is going to sit right here, we know the eye has to be underneath it, right? That's like, that is elementary stuff. So 300k plus viewers, thank you. I would love some. What we can do, and if you remember, well, none of you will remember from the beginning of the stream because I had to cut it short, but because this head is turned, as you can see with stupid idiot block here, oh, stupid idiot block boy, the sides of the head, all of this, like, all of the detail is going to be on the front plane of the head, if we think of it as a box. And then the side of the head is going to have, like, the spill off the ears, all of that junk. But if you're turning the head whatever direction, like this head is turned just slightly to the right, we're going to see very little skin on this side of the head. So we know about, if this is the nose and this is the side of the head, we know the eye has to be about that size, right? So we're just going to throw in some initial lines of this eye, and we're going to keep it fairly big because we need it to stretch across this entire chasm, right? And then, knowing that, we can take this little measurement, just that sliver, and that's going to be about the same distance it is from this side of the nose, right? So, and all, if you remember from Blockhead, all the details have to stay on this front plane of the face, okay? Greg Condor, I thought that said Greg Condom for a second. No, this is news to me. I'm so sorry, Magnus. The eyes are always under the eyebrow. Always. Okay, we know that this eye has to be about that size from that distance point, right? So we can just lay in the first little initial lines. And then this is a great point to take a step back and look at your drawing. We have, oh, thank you for all the likes. We have the start of a nose. We have the eyes filling in. We know where the eyebrows are going to go. We know where the mouth is going to go. Do the eyes look stupid and idiotic? Let's find out. Right now, as I'm looking at this, no. And that's it. That's drawing, everybody. But, you know, sometimes, like I've drawn plenty of people. I might even have... I've drawn plenty of characters, like let's look at this page, where some of the eyes are too big, too small, all of the above, whatever. And this is your stage to figure out if things need to be changed. So, currently, I think, you know what, these look pretty solid, especially for just a little drawing tutorial. So I'm going to throw in some irises, and we can color those in. Now, the fun part about eyes is they're really surprisingly lumpy. No, this is news to you. You meant the list. Of course you did. I forgot. Let's have that in frame as much as possible. Let's even throw an arrow on it. Eyes are very lumpy. Like the eyelid, basically if you think about an eye, so I showed this eyebrow drawing earlier. If you think about the eye itself, it's one big orb. Like it is one giant, weird, grotesque ball. Okay? So, if we have some weird, grotesque ball, of course, the eyelid is going to cover most of that ball, and we're going to be able to see the iris through it. But this eyelid is still covering a very 3D object. So it's going to have a little bit of depth that you're going to be able to see depending on what angle you're looking at this eye at. And on top of that, you're going to be able to see little wrinkles and the crease points where it stops covering the eye, right? Like an eyeball is very, very strange because it's gross. So, remembering that, we can add in those little lumpy parts and the little bit of shading that makes these eyes pop just a little bit more. And then, because we have that, we can start drawing the eyebrows. And remember, that's going to spill over just a little bit onto that side of the head. And it's going to disappear a little bit on us on this side of the head. And now, things are like actually starting to look solid. This guy's got quite a wide nose, which is fine. You know, plenty of us have wide noses. I probably put these nostrils out a little bit too far, but that's okay. We can come down to this mouth here. And, pro tip, hot spicy tip for everyone that's joining the live right now, the mouth, if you've drawn your eyes and your nose and everything, one thing to remember is the mouth can never extend past the pupils of the eyes in any drawing. This is actually like the coolest tip there is in drawing that I've found so far. Encourage your viewers to share your live? No thanks. Basically, this sets you up for such high success because a ton of times in my other drawings, I don't really have a good example. Oh, sure. Here's a couple of like horrible examples. The mouths are like too big, too wide, too skinny, too whatever. But if you remember this iris rule or this pupil rule, you'll pretty consistently get the right shape or the right length of every mouth that you try and draw. So that's badass. Okay, so now we have mouth, nose, eyes, eyebrow. Basically, all we have to do now is finish this outline. So what you want to do is you want to add a little polyp for the eyebrow. You want to cut in real close to that eye. Then you're going to jump back out. Remember all these arrows we drew? You're going to jump back out to give it some cheekbone. And then that cheekbone is just going to sail all the way down into chin. And now I'm going to pop this up into four-head territory, maybe even five-head territory. And then we're going to come back over to the ear. We're going to solidify that up a little bit. We're going to cut down with a little jawline. And then right at the mouth, we're going to cut that straight line over into the chin. And then all of a sudden, everybody in chat's starting to think, whoa, what the fuck? This guy's kind of cooking. Wait, what the hell? Wait, he's actually drawing someone's head for the first time ever? And his lesson actually kind of made sense a little bit, maybe not all the way. And then basically all you have to do is fix up a hairline, play with it as much as you want. On this side of the head it's going to cut down into a sideburn because obviously. But like that's pretty much it. And then if you really want to, you can go in and you can start erasing or you can use pen. But do you have any tips for bodies? Ooh. Let me think. I might have some sweet, hot, sexy tips for a body, but not off the top of my head right now. Hands always end at like the middle of the thigh. Your arms are sort of the same length as legs. I'll think about it. I can probably think of a sweet body tip for you. Okay. So now that we have all of this and we feel pretty comfortable with it, we can go in and start inking. And what this ink does is not only does it show everyone our big mistakes, but it lets you choose which mistakes you want to show. So if you remember earlier, I said this nose is probably a little bit too wide. Guess what? If I'm on the ink stage, let's come over here and let's shrink it up a little bit. I don't need all of that schnoz in my life, so I'm not going to have it. So I'm going to shrink that. I'm going to bring that in. All of a sudden, this nose looks a little bit more realistic. It doesn't look so crazy girthy. Hot topic word. Incredible word to use on a TikTok live. Girth. And then same thing with the eyes. We can come in and we can skinny these out just a little bit, try and make them look a little bit more realistic, a little bit more fun. Same thing on this one, making sure that we're remembering to have, again, girth on this guy because we don't want a ton of the head showing past it. I'm even going to lengthen out these irises. We are going to throw in a little bit of depth for these eyelids. Remember what I was saying? Eyelids are very 3D. You have to remember that they're 3D. And as you're going through this, as you're picking what details to show and what details not to show, you can add in all of the little sort of flair pieces that make drawings look way better. And what those are like all these little tiny notches that sort of let your viewer or let whoever's looking at your art guess and check and make their own decisions on what things are supposed to look like. So back to the lips, we can throw in a little bit of that. We can throw in a little shading on this top lip. And then here's another fun hot tip, a fun little thing. You don't even really have to draw the bottom lip anymore. You can just draw this little triangle, and all of a sudden, it's like shading, and it shows that there is a lip there, and it comes into the chin, which is sick. That is something only the hottest people do when they're drawing. So, you know, just think about that. And then the ear is just kind of like a screw it, do whatever the hell you want to with the ear. Nobody ever looks at ears when you're drawing. Oh, Poochie, you missed it. My phone will die, but you guys have fun. Damn. Well, thanks for popping in anyways. Love you too, big dog. Alright. So, basically, all we have left to do now is finalizing this outline. Remember when I said you can choose what mistakes to make and which ones to hide? I'm going to lengthen out that chin a little bit. I kind of want him to have a slightly bigger chin. And then we can come into here and add all of that little hair detail, all of the fun little whatever who cares pieces, a little bit of sideburn, comes into a fairly healthy hairline. He's got curly hair. And basically, now, you just have to refine some things. So we'll probably see a little bit of his ear on that side of his head. That makes sense. We'll see his neck coming through everything, so we'll draw that. We will see his shoulders as well, so you can just do a rough cut of all of that stuff, and all of a sudden we have a pretty solid drawing of a young man. And all we did was do a ton of setup and nothing else. It was just ink afterwards. Crow. You drawing frogs there, man? I am. Also, Crow, you missed. I might have something a little bit special in the mix for today's stream. The ritual worked. You did. No one summons Crow. Crow, I hate to say it, but you did just get summoned. Like, you got hardcore summoned. Triple Deluxe, what's up? Crow, you missed it. TikTok was popping off. Everything was going great. I was doing the whole thank you for the roses, thank you for the roses. It was awesome. And then I had to end it to answer a phone call. So everybody missed out. And now I've got people breaking down my door. People breaking down my door trying to kill me for drawing on TikTok Live. Now, you ever just draw on TikTok Live and people trying to buzz down your door? You had had a lot of crows in a circle to summon you? We did. We killed a lot of crows. Because we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to figure it out. Okay. What else do we have? We were thinking about doing some body tips, but guess what? I don't want to. Oh, also, my stream is dropping all of its frames. Damn it. Well, that's it, everybody. If you like these videos on TikTok, give me a follow. I do a bunch of these. I go live every once in a while. I do a ton of different studies and drawings and tips and whatever. But as it stands right now, my computer is crashing. So while that's happening, I'll give you guys all a fun little tour. Yesterday I did a Pokemon called Corviknight. I also did a coffee mug. L frames, I know, Magnus. I'm lagging like a crazy horse. I drew AI Baby. For anyone that's interested, this is the most beautiful drawing I've ever done. We did another stream. Basically, I'm also on Twitch and YouTube, if you're interested, at Nace1B. We did basically the same exact thing that we did today, but a lot slower, and this one turned out a lot worse than this one, which is very interesting. Basically, I think I figured out all of the hard points. Oh, thank you for the follow. How you get so good? Dude, guess what? It's just practice. It's just slow and steady practice. I've got so many bad drawings. Like, I hate most of my art. And just recently, things have been starting to get good. What pencils do I use? When you're just starting out, it definitely doesn't matter. But today I'm using Faber-Castells, just like a regular set. And basically what you want to do is HB, usually the far right pencil, is going to be the hardest lead, and that's what you sketch with. And then as you get further to the left, you get very soft lead, which means more of the lead leaves the pencil and hits the paper, which gives you darker lines. So always start your drawings with like an HB or a yellow number 2 pencil, and then go into ink and heavier stuff after your sketch looks pretty solid. Here's AI Baby, of course. What's up, K-Dent? What's up, Scotty? Here's where I did that. I did a ton of faces that I'm really not proud of. This is just me trying to see how fast I could draw a realistic face. And we got some good ones down through here. This one is really solid too. This one sucks big hot ass. We'll have a good night then if you're ending stream. I think I'm very far behind right now. You are, but I'll stay on for a little while. I did a video. I drew basically I drew Timothy Chalamet from that viral video he had, and then I made a TikTok out of it where I was basically like old school animating the shot. So it's like him saying his words and then shwep. That was really fun drawing. I did most of that one on stream too, and it went horribly wrong. I drew Batman and some comics for one of the days. This one turned out great. I like the Batman of this drawing, but the Bane just sucks. I just hate the way that guy looks. I did a bunch of really solid cartoon faces. This is when I was just starting to figure out how to draw cartoons. Then all these faces, all this stuff. I was doing profile shots. I was figuring out how to draw her. We had a big old horse. Horsecock. It's TikTok Live. I can say that if I want to. We did. Oh, here's how you get good. Just draw the same thing over and over and over again. I'm just drawing noses. I have a whole page for noses. I'm smelling. This page smells like shit. Just kidding. It actually smells extremely well. Here's a bunch more faces. Here is just a ton of practice. This sketchbook is like all basically like from when I was very bad at drawing to when I was starting to get good at drawing. I did like an owl in 4 parts. I did, both of these were a TikTok tutorial, I believe. And the same thing that I did tonight, where I showed you how to draw the Loomis method and all those heads and whatever bullshit I was teaching. Same thing goes for animals. You can just start with like a very rough circle, some like weird shapes for ears. You get like these huge pockets for the owl's face, and then you just sort of start laying in fur and details, and all of a sudden you have a drawing like one of these 4. It is very, like, drawing is a formula, and if you can figure it out, you basically just have to repeat it every single time. Here's a bunch more faces. As you can tell, I'm kind of obsessed. You're back for good, Poochie? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's over because I'm dropping crazy frames and I don't know how to fix it. And then here's like just a bunch more practice of getting, you know, a bunch of shapes together, contour lines. This face looks pretty sick. Mason Fun, what's up? We're about to end, so I'm just doing like a fun little sketchbook tour. This might be a weird question, but how do you hold your pencils? Great question, Zachariah Evans. I have a whole video on this too on my TikTok page. But when you're drawing, you always want to hold pretty far back. And what that does is basically, if I'm drawing like this, guess how much, like look at how much of that drawing you can see as I'm drawing the lines, right? But if I draw with my pencil back here, I can all of a sudden see this entire drawing, and I can still do all the lines. So if you're ever like really thinking fundamentals of art. How do I learn the fundamentals? Start with like just get your grip to like the middle or to the back half of the pencil and just draw like circles, draw lines, get really comfortable using your shoulder instead of your wrist. So like what a shoulder line looks like, you see how smoothly I can get everywhere on the page? I'm moving just my shoulder right now. But if I was using just my wrist, I'd have to do all of those weird chicken scratch lines that you see everybody do. And it just like, it looks bad and it's very disheartening to have, you're drawing shit out on you from under your feet, you know what I mean? Are there any pencils to use that will help? No. Pencils are pencils. I hate to say it. Everybody likes to claim that they're like really good pencils and really bad pencils. You've just got to take whatever pencil you can find. I use Faber-Castell. If you have a mechanical pencil, if you have a number 2 pencil, basically just get one and get used to it and be able to draw really light lines and sketch things out and practice all of your fundamentals, draw a bunch of eyes, draw a bunch of eyebrows, and then after a while, once you get really solid with some of that, all of that technique, then when you are going into, hello AI baby, this is a good example, when you are going into detail, then you can use like a pen or like a ballpoint pen is fine and like just get used to doing permanent lines now. And all of a sudden, once you do all of these little fundamental things for, I don't know, a couple weeks, do it like 15 minutes a day, every day, for however long. Then all of a sudden, when you are using different kinds of pencils or whatever, you'll be able to tell the difference. But if you start with just like buying a ton of bullshit because people say it's good, you're not going to be able to see any sort of difference. And pencil lead is the same in every single pencil. There's no pencil on earth that uses a different material than graphite. Be right back, you're going to see my videos. That's perfect. Okay, because I used to like put my finger all the way by the tip. Yeah, just back it up a little bit, you'll be great. Okay, let's see this. Long story, the Helen Keller. Oh my bad, I didn't mean it that way. Real ones thug it out with the wrist. Wait a second, Bloom. Dollar store mechanical pencils clear. No, it's the writer for clarification, not the reader. Can you guys see me? I'm talking to my YouTube chat, by the way, everyone on TikTok. Here's more practice in faces and whatever. Here's a bunch more practice to faces. I did a TikTok video on this, on the setup of if you were to draw a face in 5 steps, the easiest 5 steps to rip. You can get this. How can I get more motivation to draw? Listen. Do not. No, we can't. Damn. I can see you now. It just sucks, man. Motivation to draw doesn't exist. I'm sorry to say, it just doesn't sit there, or you can't count on it. Sometimes you'll get it. Like every once in a while, there'll be this beautiful moment where you're like, you know what? I want to listen to some tunes and I want to draw, and that's perfect. But 90% of the time, you're not going to get that feeling. And if you want to get better at drawing, what you have to do is you have to train yourself to want to draw. So that's why the 15-minute rule is badass. Like if you just say at the top of the day, at the start of every day, think I'm going to draw 15 minutes today, and that's it. And then, that's not a hard task. So you get 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or you like bust through the whole 15, and you end that 15 seconds with the want to keep going. 6'7" mustard mango Diddy Blood 61. Holy shit, that is the best the best username I have ever heard. 6'7" Diddy Blood. God, that's awesome. How are you? Can you draw Bill Cipher from Granny Falls? Click from the movie? What the hell does that even mean? 6-7 Mustard Mango Diddy Blood 61 asks, can you draw Bill Cipher from Granny Falls Click from the movie? What? What? Give me a Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, he means. Okay, thank you, Triple Deluxe. That, so many of the words from all of that, especially the name, just kills. It's so funny. Thank you so much. Yo, can you draw Subaru Natsuki? Ooh, that's interesting. Nathan, can you draw a Gothic church-style castle? Crow, I would love to, but my stream sucks. I'm dropping like thousands and thousands of frames, so I can't actually draw anything. Can you please draw it, please? Shawl shop. Let me look it up. 6-7. And if it's easy enough, I can do it quick, but if it's going to take a long time, I'm sorry, I do not have the time to do it. Is that alright? Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls. Oh, duh. I know Bill Cipher. Yes. Let's rip it. I miss Gravity Falls. I haven't watched it in quite some time. Okay, so... Do it or you're a pussy. That's not a nice thing to say, Crow. I'm lagging, I'm dropping thousands of frames, and you're gonna call me the P word in my YouTube chat? You're gonna call me the P word in my YouTube chat right now, bro? Really? Wow. Alright, back to drawing kids' cartoons. Basically, for Bill Cipher, we are going to start. Notice how I'm holding this pencil pretty far back. Hi, ... How are you? Bill Cipher is a little gem, a little triangle gem that sits on the dollar bill. So we're just going to start with a very rough sketch of what his body looks like. We are going to add a rough sketch of where we want his eye to be. Notice how I'm not actually drawing any sort of details. I'm just filling in shapes at this moment. We know that his arms start here, and they're pretty simple, and we will have them curve up a little bit. So again, I am not even drawing his arms. I'm just adding a little indication of what they should look like. Then his hands have 4 fingers, so we can just sort of add a little indication of what those will look like here. And again, keeping everything as simple as possible, especially when you're recreating cartoons and drawings like these, or like if you're drawing Pokemon ever. You really want to keep all of the shapes extremely simple, because the fun fact about cartoons and very popular pieces of media, all of the put a fire behind them. Ooh, I can do that. I'll just add a circle for fire first, and we'll make it look cool later. When you're doing cartoon stuff like this, you have to remember that a lot of these drawings have to be simple enough to remember and stick inside your head. So, if you ever let it get too crazy detailed, you're kind of missing the point, because the artists themselves that actually created this character tried really hard to make it simple. So, if I start with all of these super simple shapes, oh, that's okay, you can do that later. Oh no, we got it. If you're really focusing on all the simple shapes first, you sort of just get to the drawing by accident, which is a fantastic place to be. Not a lot of drawings can you accidentally stumble upon the final image, right? So, all I've drawn is super simple. Can you please check my story drawing and tell me what I should improve on? Ooh, that'd be cool. 1 second. I can do that. I have to read some YouTube chats quick. You know what? You're right. You're not jolly, Crow. I know you're jolly. You have the happiest little heart in the world, but you hide it. Replace the blood with caffeine. Trust. Dude, I think that's what went wrong today. Nathan, what kind of coffee do you like? Usually black coffee with just a little bit of creamer, a little bit of sugar and cream, just to make it. I drink like 12 cups, so I need it to go down easy. I tried some again today, and it was assaulting my taste buds. You drank a liter of milk with 4 spoons of coffee and 4 of sugar? Holy hell. How dare you blame your broken spirit? I'm glad. I'm glad I got to catch up with you guys. Alright, back to drawing. So, essentially, by keeping all of these shapes super, super simple, we are already very, very close to finishing this drawing. His pupil is a very long little slit, and then he has little eyelashes. 4 on top and 4 on bottom. So we'll add those in. And as it stands, oh, and his little feet. He's got little tiny nubbins for feet. Look at that. I've kept everything super simple, and he already looks pretty beast. Hey everybody, I'm glad I have 10 people in here. That's awesome. So now we're going to go in, we're going to switch to a softer pencil, and what that means is that more graphite from this one leaves the pencil and sticks to the paper. You can tell that it's softer because it has a high number here, followed with a B. So now that I have all of this set up, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make sure all of my outlines are dark and all of my lines are straight. And I'm only choosing the lines that I really like from all of that sketching. And then we can come and add all of these details that we said we were saving for later. Look at that. Isn't that nice and awesome? And then we can just start filling things in with all of the color that we need. His hands are super simple, so it's no use really worrying about them. We can just add them in, making sure we're getting the 4 fingers, the classic cartoon hand look. And then that hand connects basically right into the wrist, and that wrist connects right back into the body. And then we can go in, and his eye actually has, you know, some points to it instead of just a circle. So instead of following my simple shape, I'm going to now choose to do the highly detailed shape. And then we can add in his eyelashes. Very symmetrical eyelashes, I might add. We can add in his little pupil. That's so stinking cute. We can draw all of his little pyramid lines. He has a rock star bow tie, so I'll put that in with my dark pencil. I'll shade it in. And then we can just throw in all of his little bricks. He's bricked up for sure. We'll add his legs, his little polyp feet. All of a sudden, we're looking at the Gravity Falls guy. Oh, and of course his hat. We'll add that in as well. The hat is the coolest part, in my opinion. And then you just have to color things in. And then we also got a request to put fire behind him. So, what I will do is I'll start drawing some very loose flames. Have them really licking the sky. Oh yeah. This looks awesome. Bingo. And there we go. There he is. Stand ready for my arrival. I've returned. Yeetus! I'm so glad. Wow. Isn't that nice? Oh, thanks for the follow. But yeah, if you're drawing cartoons, anytime you're drawing cartoons, remember, why are we drawing interdimensional beings? It is a very long story. I'm surprised you haven't brought up this this note I had to write earlier. That's really cool. Thank you very much. Basically, whenever you're drawing cartoon characters, Pokemon, anything in a comic book, remember that it has to be easily repeatable for the people that are drawing it, like the people that are running the show or comic book. So you can way easily boil everything down into simple shapes. Same thing as when I was drawing faces and heads today. I boiled the head down into one big beach ball. I added a little bit of a chin and everything like that, and then basically just measured things out and figured out where all of the nose, eyes, and everything were. The more you can simplify down, yo, hey yo, the more you can simplify down into simple shapes, the better your drawings will be every single time. Alright, let's check on YouTube chat, and then I am done for the night. Disgusting. More clean than average human. You clean your feathers. Nice. I'm glad Poochie's in here giving a little bit of commentary. You have a bacteriophobia. Oh, interesting. You shed your blooms. Ford Pines and Bill fan art? I'm not sure. You have to see Ford Bill fan art ASAP. I could do that. By the way, don't tell Galaxy what I said. Don't traumatize her with my swearing problem. That's good. I'm glad. I'm guessing years of worth of practicing. Oh, sorry, did I miss a question? How are you so good at drawing? Oh, yes, it's all practice. Surprisingly enough. This is really good. Thanks, Demon Face. Basically, the hardest part or the most annoying part of drawing is that it is all practice. So, like, this was a Pokemon I did for Alive the other day, but if you go back into... One sec, I gotta fix all this. If you go back into all of my sketchbooks and drawings, there are just pages with a ton of slop. Like, I'm just constantly drawing and trying to figure out, yo, that's sick, yo, stop crying. Wait, Edis, you couldn't possibly be crying over the AI baby. See you late, Croton Bloom. See ya. See ya, Poochie. But on top of that, like, this sketchbook is just like slow, methodical practice everywhere. I did this Timothy Chalamet drawing live. I did comics. I did a bunch of... I like finally got illustrated faces down one of the streams. It's hard for me to practice because I feel like it needs to be perfect whenever I draw. Oh, definitely. But like, look at this. Look at how awful this page is. Like, his eyes, like everything about this pisses me off, but you still kind of have to get through it. Or like, look at this page. This is like the grossest. I was trying to figure out a brush pen that I had just bought, and it just looks awful. Like, none of this looks good, but you just kind of have to sit through all of the stress and all the junk. Made by Cade, yo! Oh, that's so sad. We're just leaving. Here's like a buffalo, the same exact thing. I just drew a Marin drawing. The face came out wonky. Is that Marin or Marin? I'm not sure. Same thing, like a bunch of faces. Like, I'm just constantly, I'm drawing a ton of noses some days. Like, there are just little times where you have to just kind of bite down and practice instead of drawing something cool, if that makes sense. That's actually, like, I think the best piece of advice I can give anyone is sometimes you can't just draw what you think is cool. You have to draw what you're struggling with, which sometimes that means filling the pages with noses. Alright, well, Cade, I'm sorry. Oh, and Galaxy is here too. Guys, That sucks. I need to figure out what's so wrong with my stream. But yeah. Can we get a Schwepp? Schwepp! Marin. I'll get you a Schwepp. Here we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Schwepp! And then we've got culmination. Schwepp! Integration. Schwepp! Fruitionizing. That's not a word, obviously, but can you tattoo this? Definitely. All right. I've got to end. Everything's falling apart. This was awesome. Thank you all for joining. For anyone on TikTok, this is my drawing setup. I always think it's kind of interesting to show. But I'm constantly like looking at myself when I'm drawing human faces, and that helps because then I can say I'm drawing say I'm drawing this baby. I can look at myself and I can understand that there's, this much space between two eyes. I know that the ear starts at the eyeball and goes down to the nose. I know the lips are just a little bit away from the nose. Like there's a fun little bit of using a mirror when you're drawing. So there's another fun point. Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all playing. Love y'all. Okay, dude, this is pissing me off, man. It's only been 77 minutes. I'm trying, I swear. I don't know how to fix it. It just like the bitrate will not work. Maybe if I close these? Your stream's bitrate is just garbage. I just don't know how to fix it. Galaxy, why did you talk in third person? Alright, I can't fix it, everybody. I'm out of here. Start a new live. Not gonna happen. Hey, ain't gonna happen. But you can watch this VOD. It'll be uploaded. We hung out quite a bit. It was cool.